Lopez is unbanned.
Lopez is unbanned.
Lopez is unbanned. And then I messaged Lopez Lopez messaged me right after that, and I was like, better beans! That means congratulations in Portuguese.
No pressure for Lopez here, but this, if Lopez is able to win, we'll get the run back with use again. So, yeah, a lot riding on this set, and kind of course, we were talking about just having some of the craziest punish game with the axe and the hammer so far. I'm looking to see that dual weapon conditioning that we saw in those last games. Kind of opens up with that axe, and Lopez on the Fate with the defense stance once again.
Yeah, so like Lopez started with the Fate in winners round 1 against Sack. Then on stream, we saw Lopez play the Bodvar.
Yeah.
That was an amazing set against Hughes. Then he moved into top 8, and then we saw Lopez on the Kaya and then the Queen Nai. And now he's back over to the Fate, but he's taken a little bit more damage here compared to Kyna. Kyna does have him in the red. Tried to read the high recovery with the jump side air.
Yeah, total discipline from Kyna. They're getting multiple side lights in the corner, and instead of chasing off stage, which a lot of hammer players do, they're like, you know, I gotta go for a KO here. I need a fish for something. Kyna's just like, I'll just keep racking on the free damage, and eventually I'll just confirm that downlight into the side air, and that's gonna be exactly what Kyna does to close out that stock. As the hammer doing well at closing out those stocks, and that side stick from Fate is gonna be so strong. Like, you know, you can charge it longer and it sends out a projectile. I almost think the fastest option, like the immediate one, is even more dangerous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad you bring up that discipline with Kyna, though, because that is something that he had in online tournaments, was that discipline, that ability to just wait until the perfect moment to attack.
Yeah.
But then online, or on LAN, he went up against Stingray and he went up against Godly at the World Championship, and he started to choke towards the end because he lost that discipline. But then last year at BCX, he beat both Stingray and Godly, conquering those bracket demons, those LAN demons, because he really stepped up his discipline.
Yeah.
He didn't start choking at the end of the game. He didn't start throwing random signatures. He had that discipline. So I'm glad you bring that up, because you're exactly right.
When you have that one thing, and it's a very consistent one thing with that downlight, you just have to tell yourself, it will happen eventually.
Yeah.
I can do this. I just got to hold on and hold and not overextend off stage and not do the things that hammer players fall into, and just hold on. And that's exactly what's going on so far. Holding on to this stock, Lopez having a big damage lead, but of course, you know, the nature of these two weapons avoids that. And that was a crazy feint. Wow.
He got caught right on the corner, was just a little bit too low. Honestly, maybe that's what he wanted to do,
yeah.
But obviously we saw Hughes do it 2 times, actually getting back to the main stage rather than just like getting stuck on the wall. But that would actually be so sick if Lopez did that perfectly, making Kyna think he's going to get back onto the main platform, and really he just gets stuck on the wall and stays down there, gets the touch, and then can move back up. Mm-hmm. That would be like, that's Galaxy.
That's the next level. Here we go, the unarmed from Lopez here as they threw away their orb there, and that downer is going to be able to close it out. I said that you have one thing, you have multiple things to find the KOs as hammer, but like that's what you're looking for, and like eventually at the high enough damage, a random down air will just catch you slipping, and that's going to be it.
The big hammer juggles coming out from Kyna. That neutral air, he loves the neutral air. Like back when we really started paying attention to Kyna, he was like a stomp nair master.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like still on stomp air, and he was like, nah man, the future, the vibe is stomp nair, and he would just juggle and juggle and juggle.
Yeah, what an inspiration Kyna is. I mean,
there's the Russian Mafia.
Yeah, there you go.
He gave us the Russian Mafia. Unfortunately, he whiffed the down air.
Yeah, that can get very scary. And discipline, once again, just holding on, not using any buttons, not committing to anything, and just waiting. And finally, Lopez slipped up, swung a little bit too close, and yeah, downlight into Sarah, closes it out. Clean stuff. Yeah, and you see here that random down air, and you know the percent lead was slightly in the favor of Lopez, but kind of really didn't get hit after that, and just close it out here, tapped it in with the downlight into the side air. I don't know how he's so patient. Like when I play hammer, I'm swinging a lot.
I don't either, dude.
Yeah, like I'm watching this and I'm like, you know, I try to take this. I'm like, I'm gonna steal this and do it in ranked. I'm like, I don't think I could do that. Like I don't think I could just wait and be that confident in hitting these moves, especially downlight. Like you kept saying, the hammer players are like crumbling because it's like a move that was so spammable and so consistent became one of the slower moves that if you whiff, you get punished heavily for. And it's just like the discipline is absolutely insane.
Because he also has those moments where like he's putting the hammer in your face.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit you with 3 nairs. I'm going to hit you with a stomp side air. You're going to get back to the main platform. Reset, stomp side air again. All of a sudden, here comes the Russian Mafia. So he's really good at just like being on one end of the spectrum, the slow side, the methodical side, the patient side. Then all of a sudden, he moves to the other side of the spectrum in the blink of an eye, and he's in your face. It's Hammer. He makes Hammer look like guitars almost.
Yeah, exactly.
The way he's able to find these strings.
Yeah, get the 1-2 juggles, and then kind of still feints. Like, I could just end your stock here if you do something dumb. Okay, you didn't. I'm going back. I'm going back to resetting. It's really, really good discipline. Lopez looks to find a game here. Dancing back and forth here now. The orb on the side of Lopez hasn't really been finding much success on the orb. I don't think gets the neutral light, and that's going to be big. Switching over to the scythe and getting punished for landing after get that weapon grab. That's going to be a big opportunity. What a reversal from Kyna, just throws it, gets a little bit of damage, says, okay, I'm back. I'm just going to grab the weapon and come back. And another downlight into side air. Oh my goodness, I've never seen someone hit as many downlights.
I'm telling you, dude, he makes Hammer look like an easier weapon than it absolutely is. He's
hard.
just so good at that. And this is one of the few times we've seen triplats this entire weekend. And if I'm Lopez, like, I'm worried about that because it takes like a short hop nair. And you can cover so much with Kyna's hammer or his axe. His coverage on those platforms, like Lopez just doesn't have that. His weapons don't have that. His unarmed kit doesn't have that. His signatures barely have that, if at all. Kyna just has like triplat coverage so much more.
Yeah, and even so, like, how do you shark a axe downer on a platform? Like, that's one of the harder moves to punish in general, but having that extra security of the platform where I whiff the down air, and instead of being kind of fish out of water in the air, I'm immediately on a platform and I can start moving again. And that's exactly what Kyna needs. Yeah, that's a good pickup. I haven't seen a tripod this entire event so far, so at least for what I've commentated. So it's definitely not working out in Lopez's favor. Oh, the mind games! No, it happens.
Got it.
Oh man, it happens with the axe so often. I feel like not having quite the most. It's not truly vertical, of course, and especially when you're below the stage like that. It is rough to get that angle lined up. Lopez getting something started here. Goes for a side light to catch a dodge away. Doesn't quite find one.
There's a nice stash landing on the soft platform that Kyna did that moved him to the left, but like Lopez was there. The reaction was so quick. Now he's starting to take a little bit more control of the second stock, but there you have it. Simple scoop, thrown off the top, going back over to the axe. It's time for zone coverage.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, man, that is crazy. I've never really thought about it, but axe covers these platforms perfectly. It does everything.
Hey, he said it, not me. It does everything. PJ the Puff.
I'm new here, okay? Don't take my word for gospel. I don't got it like that. But yeah, at least from what I'm seeing, how do you really use the platforms against axe?
That's a good question. I wish I was smart enough to tell you because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know as a commentator. I don't know as a player.
And then not to mention on orb, you can get down air out because it cancels on the platform. Like, yeah, this is rough. This is a rough stage. Gets the side air there. It's going to be able to close out. Having that consistent KO tool is going to be so important for Lopez here, especially because Lopez has a lot of damage output, just sometimes struggles to find that KO. That orb is going to be so consistent. And I feel like orb kind of meshes with Scythe well for that reason.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on that. Yeah. Lopez kind of stuck having to play like if we pretended like the soft platforms were like a roof, then he's having to kind of play under the roof. He's having to play under the soft platform on the left, under the one on the right, and sort of like under the one in the middle. That's where he's having the most success. But of course, like we've known Kyna's ability to dash in and D-light, dash in and in-light as well. Lopez doing a pretty good job here, keeping things relatively even. Went for the big read there with the side signature, but it's the stomps air and things are winding down. The side air bouncing off the platform. Interesting choice from Kyna. See if that ends up biting him in the keister by the time this thing's said and done.
Jump dash over and now kind of assuming the position that Lopez was right underneath that top platform and just holding on here, forcing Lopez, saying, hey, I know you're not using the platforms anytime soon while I'm on axe, and catches the dash through with the neutral light, but it's not quite enough.
He's probably just going to fish for another one.
Yeah.
Very much what I expected. There is a weapon spawn. Kyna's just gonna kind of be
that's a
the
rough,
wall.
Yeah, that's a rough spawn. Rough spawn here. Avoids that side light, yeah.
He did a great job of getting through that side signature, but he knew that like it had so much movement on it, it carries you so far away from your opponent that it can really be difficult to punish it in time. Yep. If Kyna would have actually thrown out a move, he would not have been able to punish it in time. The dodge probably would have came out from Lopez. He would have had the perfect reaction on it, and then he might have gotten the fateful punish that ends that game for Kyna.
Yeah, look at the, I mean, it's kind of a big difference. That's like 80-ish, but still like having a lot of consistency on the axe. And it makes sense because we're on a triplat stage. That makes sense that the axe did a lot more there. So I definitely want to see a change of scenery on the side of Lopez, who's looking to make the counter pick now to Queen Nai. So we're going to be seeing some Katars. Hopefully that speed and that burstiness will be able to kind of disrupt the game plan and the wall that Kyna's been putting up.
So the interesting thing that we've seen from Lopez a couple times in a row with this legend swap is you play game one on a different legend, you end up losing that game. You stick with that legend on game two, end up losing that one, and then you swap to the Queen Nai on game three. So he's done that consistently with different starter legends against different opponents.
Yeah, and it's a mountain to climb here. I've described Kyna as a mountain before in this, and yeah, rightfully so. Just a summit you have to reach, and Queen Nai hopefully going to be able to do that. Of course, we were talking about Queen Nai having that high defense, a little bit slower, but still high defense, especially versus somebody that's so consistent at closing out stocks with the bread and butters, might be what you need here. And the big axe play goes for the Nair and tries to set up for a side light, similar to how he closed out his previous set. Avoids the swinging from Katars and looking to just bonk and with punish. The neutral light not quite enough to KO, but still in a bad spot as you're stuck off stage, dashing in and out, and goes for another, just really swinging with all of the KO options.
So I think Kyna is showing us the perfect example of what we were kind of alluding to earlier when we were looking at, I believe we were looking at C, whoever was playing the Asuri against their opponent, and was like, it was in lights.
Yeah.
It was in lights all day. And you were seeing the like very low damage pacing, the low damage that he was racking up over time with that. Completely different when you have an axe in your hand and you're adding up that like 17 to 18 damage per hit, especially when you're a higher strength legend. So Kyna's doing a great job of showing exactly that. You have a sword in your hand, it's not the greatest. When you have an axe in your hand, you're adding up a lot of damage very quickly. It's a safe move, and you're also finding KOs with it.
You don't want to play a war of attrition with axe.
Nope.
Because yeah, like if we're gonna play the we're both only getting 1 or 2 hits, I think everyone would pick an axe in that situation.
The axe player will win that damage trade every single time.
Yeah.
Which is why Kyna's not really swapping over to the hammer too much. Yeah. He's approaching. No, he's not going to get a full stock lead as Lopez picks up the recovery. It was high enough and to the left enough with all of the strength that Lopez has as this Queen Nai to find the KO, swapping back over to the spear, the sort of self-bounce pass after charging that up. I was almost expecting a harpoon toss, but I think Lopez knew Kyna was on top of him. He was going to throw it down so he doesn't lose that weapon.
This Nair is doing a lot for Lopez so far, keeping Kyna away and getting that second beat. And whenever Kyna just tries to position, when Kyna is that close to his opponent, he'll just kind of drift away. Yeah. But that Nair is going to be really good at catching that. So you don't get away for free now, you know, trying to position yourself perfectly for these axe moves.
Lopez all of a sudden on the second stock, keeping the damage reasonably even, especially when you kind of take into effect the higher defense, the D-Light.
Yeah, Queen Nai, and then move not always being a consistent KO option is going to give Lopez one more chance, gets the down air, but not quite much more after that. The recovery doesn't get punished there. I don't quite have an option to cover that diagonal, and that's going to be a big open up. Goes for the recovery on a dodge in read, but kind of doesn't give it to Lopez.
Oh, the final frames of that, making the connection. But again, the neutral lights coming out from Kyna. He's been adding so much damage with those. He's been doing a great job finding stocks with those. He's kind of stepped away from the Sair a little bit. I'm not seeing as many of those. We aren't seeing the like triple Nair juggles or the double Nair juggles that he tries to finish off with the Sair for the KO option. That like upper vertical play is kind of slowing down here against Lopez because he's really stressing these left and rights, some of these 45-degree angles as well when you look at the Dare or you look at the D-Light.
Yeah. Build the wall and make it just difficult for Lopez to get in and get anything started. It's just a consistency in game plan. Discipline is the name of the game for Kyna. Holding on here, eats the weapon toss and immediately downlights to cover the attempt to land back in the corner for Lopez. Nowhere is safe versus this axe as Kyna looks to do a dash jump and down air, doesn't quite find it. Lopez trying to poke and find Kyna being overly extended, but it seems like every time you think, oh, I'm going to catch Kyna being aggressive, Kyna's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm waiting for you still. Rough here, the downlights catching the landings once again. Lopez on the spear still. That Nair finally giving a little bit of reprieve and going for a big.
Oh, he still is able to get around it and get the recovery, PJ.
Oh, thankfully playing Queen Nai. That's gonna play a big part in living that SIG, and that's going to be a big neutral light. Is that enough? No, not quite. And not going off stage, Kyna's like, I'm not going to risk anything versus the Qatar is just holding on.
He's going to go for an in-light. Yeah, that's all he has to do.
Yep.
And he takes it 3-0 over Lopez. And so we're having like a major like weapon crisis here on the side of Lopez compared to Kyna, because what Kyna's able to do, he can just use in-light.
Yeah.
Honestly, most of the game, he can just throw out that in-light. I'm in.